本当に楽しい一年でした。
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most sub-worthy scenes to come out of anime since 2000.
でも俺はエミリアが好きだ。
Number 30, The Deaths of Charles and Ray, Eureka 7.
私はデューイもホランドも関係ない。ただもう一度あの子に。
レントン少年か。
Taking out a hijacked Spec Ops aircraft is hard enough, but Charles and Ray have to do it while their quasi-son Ranson is still inside. He left the two to rejoin the Gecko crew, and in a tragic turn of events, he never got to apologize. Charles dies in the initial siege, leaving a depressed Ray to absolutely snap in the ship they all called home. It's a noble effort, but it doesn't matter. She dies too, leaving Renton grieving the only real parental figures he ever had. Still, what's even worse is knowing Charles and Ray gave their lives for this last mission and have absolutely nothing to show for it. Number 29, Starscream's Sacrifice, Transformers Armada.
You simpleton! Optimus and I are sworn enemies!
But Galvatron, sir, I don't think Optimus would make this offer unless he truly believed it.
Of all the robots in disguise, Starscream is one of the very last you'd call noble. And yet, the approaching threat of Unicron forced the two-timer to make the ultimate judgment call. His epic slugfest with Galvatron convinces every bot, from Decepticon to Autobots, that Unicron is bigger than any of their petty grievances.
I tried to gain favor from you, but nothing was ever good enough. No matter how many battles I fought, you always found fault. Then I saw how Optimus treated his men, and I realized he was a leader of integrity. Unlike you.
Unfortunately, it also put Starscream right in the World Eater's line of fire.
It's time to finish this once and for all! Activate proton cannon! You're all mine, Unicron!
He ejects Swindle to save him from the blast, and even fires off his own attack. But Starscream is scrap metal before it even hits its mark. Robots may not be able to cry, but Alexis grieves enough for all of them.
Why did Starscream do that to himself?
I wish I had the answers, Alexis.
Number 28, The Death of Himeno, Chainsaw Man. In a job with as much turnover as devil hunting, bonds are the only currency Himeno gives a damn about. In fact, it matters so much to her, she gladly gives up her own life in order to save her partners. Seeing her literally vanish piece by piece is a powerful sight, especially since Himeno knows her death will destroy Aki. Then again, what else would you expect from a literal deal with a devil? It's almost ironic. Aki is usually a man of few words, but even he can't resist shedding a few tears over Himeno's sacrifice. And anyone with a beating heart is probably right there with him. Number 27, Gendo embraces Shinji. Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0, Thrice Upon a Time. Shinji and his father aren't exactly on what you'd call good terms. Actually, for a good chunk of the series, they couldn't be further apart. So, on paper, Gendo finally hugging his son should be a happy breakthrough, right? Well, in a vacuum, it is. The issue is that by then, their conflict has already destroyed most of reality as we know it. The overdue display of affection is completely undercut by the realization that it's just too late. For Shinji, for Gendo, and for humanity. And this is before we get to any self-sacrifices. Only Evangelion could make something as sweet as a hug feel absolutely heart-wrenching. Number 26, Kaio cries, erased. After enduring both physical and emotional turmoil at home, the young Kaio is taken in by Satoru and his mother.
でかした、あんたたち。
They give her a warm bed, fresh breakfast, and honest care. To them, it's an innocent gesture, but to Kaio, it's a kindness enough to trigger some serious waterworks. If this is her reaction to something as standard as a hot meal, we can't even imagine the kind of suffering she went through with her mother. The implication behind Kaio's tears is truly devastating in a way words can't describe. But if there's any silver lining, it's that she's crying for happy reasons now. Number 25, Ai Hoshino says goodbye to her kids. Oshinoko. Is there anything more soul-crushing on the face of the planet than watching a mother's dying words to her kids? If Ai's unfair death is factored in, the answer is a completely resounding no.
ドーム公演おめでとう。双子の子供は元気。
The former pop star is nothing but kind, caring, and generous to everyone around her. Hell, Ai even apologizes to the man who stabbed her.
お土産でくれた星の砂、嬉しかったな。今もリビングに飾ってあるんだよ。
But instead of getting to raise Aqua and Ruby herself, she's forced to condense decades of parenting into a few parting words.
アクア、愛してる。
Yes, I remain smiling to the end, but that doesn't change the fact that this scene is too sad to sit through more than once. Number 24, Lakan and Feng Zhan's muddled love story, The Apothecary Diaries.
たまには賭けをしませんか？あなたが勝てたら好きなものを与えましょう。私が勝てたら好きなものをいただきましょう。
If you think your love life is complicated, this is Shakespearean levels of miscommunication. To sum it up, Lakan and Feng Zhan's romance had epically bad timing. Almost immediately, Lakan is sent away for 3 long years, leaving Feng Zhan to carry and raise their child alone. Poor, depressed, and overworked, she turns to selling her body, which eventually gives her a life-threatening illness.
お前、本心ならもういない。今から何しに来たんだい。3年も放っておいて。
The diagnosis evolves into rumor and then a flat-out lie, and by the time Lakan returns, he's told Feng Zhan has passed. While the two eventually reunite again, it's a bittersweet union when you consider how much time they already spent grieving one another. Number 23, The Death of Himmel. Frieren Beyond Journey's End. The moment Himmel the hero passes away is a thing of legends. Half a century after his fabled 10-year quest, his slow-aging elf friend Frieren returns to show him the best view of the biannual meteor shower. None of them knew it would be Himmel's last trip ever.
君のおかげで最後にとても楽しい冒険ができた。
Even though he's introduced in the same episode he's buried, the show's detailed character work ensures you feel the weight of his farewell. If not, Friren's impassioned grief will definitely get the point across. It's not often you find an anime that handles the complexities of grief with so much care, let alone in one episode. But that's Frieren for you.
なんでもっと知ろうと思わなかったんだろう。
Number 22, Arnade's Life and Death, Vinland Saga. Arnade's story in Vinland Saga is defined by choice, or rather a lack thereof. As a slave, she was forced to bear children she never wanted, all the while being torn from the man she really loved.
もういいのよ。
Even once she escapes and reunites with her beloved, Arnade is powerless to stop his death, or her own beating that follows. Then, after all that pain and heartbreak, she can't hold on either.
アルデイさん、アルデイさん。
It's beyond grim for everyone, particularly Aina. He finally confesses his love to Arnade's dead body, but as sad as it is to say, a happy ending just wasn't in the cards for her.
アルデイさん、行くな。俺はあなたが大好きなんだ。あなたが必要なんだ。
Number 21, Agumon and Gabumon say goodbye. Digimon Adventure, Last Evolution Kizuna. All the way back in 1999, Tai and Matt fell into the digital world and began a decade-spanning adventure alongside Digimon. They fought, they struggled, they cried, and they came out the other side unbreakable friends. But after 20 years, the original Digidestin had officially outgrown their partners. So, backed by a gorgeous sunset and decades of memories, Matt and Tai said goodbye to their partners once and for all. It's a sob-worthy gut punch of a scene, not just because of the obvious farewell, but also since this is Digimon boldly deciding to grow up with its audience.
そうだ。明日。
一緒に。
No matter how much it hurts. Number 20, The Death of Sasha. Attack on Titan. The final season gave us no shortage of revelations, but none were more painful than watching our favourite meat-eater slip away. While escaping their fate from Mali aboard a blimp, the Survey Corps come under attack from a surprise passenger as Gabby sneaks on board, locked and loaded. It just so happens the one shot she fires finds its mark right through Sasha. It's a brutal end to one of the purest members of the original cast, perfectly setting the stage for the savagery to come.
Sasha は最後何か言ったか肉って言ってた
Number 19, The Death of Oda. Bungo Stray Dogs. Before Dazai was the ultimate bro seeking atonement, he was a ruthless enforcer of the Port Mafia, willing to commit whatever atrocity was needed if it meant accomplishing his mission. So, what changed him? His best friend perishing in front of his eyes, that's what. Seeking revenge for the murder of his adopted children, Oda waged a one-man army against those responsible, the encounter proving to be fatal for everyone involved. Even with his death wish, Oda still used his dying words to impart wisdom to Dazai. That, at the end of the day, it's better to live as a good person.
自分を救済するために存在するか。確かに、その通りだ。
Number 18, Hachikuji's Goodbye. Monogatari series, 2nd season. By now, we've gotten pretty used to Araragi trampling on the hearts of the many ladies in his life, though this little farewell still cuts the deepest. Originally a mischievous spirit, incapable of moving on, Hachikuji became a somewhat vital member of Araragi's ever-expanding harem. At least until her business on the mortal plane was finished and was slowly being taken to the big upstairs, something the pseudo-vampire is none too pleased about.
なんかあるはずだろこっからだって逆転劇が
ありませんよ
Knowing that this may be the last time they see each other, Hachikuji makes one last bid for best girl status before disappearing into the unknown.
大好きでしたよ荒木さん
Number 17, Gugu's Passing. To Your Eternity. He suffered through the world alone for his early life, only to find family, grow up to become the ultimate Chad, and was willing to die for love. Our Dragon Boy was one in a million.
君が好きだ
Following his death after protecting Rin from being buried alive by rubble, Fushi decides to lie to her, assuming Gugu's form to give her a false sense of happiness. It may have been a kind gesture, but she isn't so easily fooled. We later see her resting by the place where Gugu first saved her life, proclaiming that she will always love him, never be married to anyone else, and is aware he is no longer alive.
それがねもうここにはいないの
Why does this anime keep torturing us? Number 16, eating and growing stronger. Haikyuu. Nobody likes losing, but alas, that's the way of the game. Sadly for Karasuno, their bout against Albajose resulted in them falling flat on their faces, and while they would eventually go on to soar again in the rematch, they first had to feel the sting of defeat. The saddest part isn't watching the game reach its conclusion, it's the aftermath where the coach treats everyone to a meal.
試合後の今なんか筋繊維ぶっちぶちだ。それを飯食って修復する。そうやって筋肉がつく。
Silently, all the members of the volleyball team eat, as well as weep over their loss. It's such a painfully human reaction, you can't help but be moved by it. Number 15, the death of Rengoku. Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba the movie, Mugen Train. He set his heart ablaze, he fulfilled his duty, and the only thing that it cost him was his life. While his strength as the Flame Hashira is undeniable, Rengoku was put through his paces against the demon Akaza.
止めた。信じられない力だ。みぞおちに俺の右腕が貫通しているんだぞ。
Left horrifically wounded from the encounter, all the eternally optimistic swordsman can do is pass down his final will to Tanjiro, while also giving his blessing for Nezuko to join their ranks despite her affliction.
俺は君の妹を信じる。
It's a beautiful send-off to such an inspired character, with the visions of his mother only adding to the heartbreak.
立派にできましたよ。
Number 14, Fido's Memories, 86. The robotic dog of Spearhead Squadron has been around since the beginning, though it mostly lingered in the background. As it turns out, that also allowed it to capture the small, yet meaningful moments of its new family throughout its tenure.
一緒に帰るか。
As the remaining 86s venture out beyond their confinements, we're greeted to a montage of all the fun moments Shin and the rest have had as teammates.
ファイド、ここで問題だ。どちらがまずいものかわかるか？機械にわかるわけないでしょ。
They may seem insignificant, but when weighed against the cruelty they have endured, it comes across as rather heartwarming. Then we discover that Fido is playing these during his last moments, on account of it and everyone else being overrun by the Legion. Good dog. Number 13, the death of Night Eye, My Hero Academia. All Might's one and only sidekick, Sir Night Eye is a hard man to please and even harder to measure up to. Capable of seeing into the future, his cold persona spawned following a wedge that was driven between himself and the world's greatest hero due to the latter's reckless disregard for his own life. And yet his death still hit us like a truck, mainly due to him finally letting down his walls and showing his appreciation for his mentor as well as his student.
ダメだ。生きてください。死ぬなんてダメだ。
Giving Mirio hope that he can continue on as a hero, even without his quirk, was absolutely precious. Number 12, Hina's Trouble. March comes in like a lion. Bullying is always a subject that strikes deep, and when you combine it with someone as good-willed and lovable as Hina, you're just asking to choke up. While usually resilient, Hina can't help but confess to Rei that she's terrified about going to school on account of her knowing she's going to be the target of bullies, all because she defended her friend.
2年生まではあんなに学校毎日楽しかったのに。
Even so, she still refuses to change her way of thinking.
後悔なんてしない。しちゃダメだ。
It's such a profound moment of introspection that it not only moves Rei, but also has us blubbering. She's too pure a soul to have something like this happen.
僕がついてる。
レイちゃん。
Number 11, Letters for 50 Years. Violet Evergarden. Violet's job as an auto-memory doll enabled her to encounter all manner of individuals, each with their own personal pains and stories to be typed out, though none packed quite as much of a punch as this. As a dying woman has Violet write out an increasingly large amount of letters, we see events unfold through the eyes of her daughter Anne, who grows increasingly frustrated over the whole affair. Then we find out that each letter was addressed to Anne, one to be delivered to her on her birthday for the next 50 years. It's an unfathomable example of love between mother and daughter, and we were not prepared for it. Number 10, the death of Ace, One Piece. Even amongst oceans filled with war and death, the death of Fire Fist Ace remains the event that still rocked us to our core. In spite of doing everything possible to free his brother from the executioner's block, Luffy can only watch in horror as Ace leaps in at the last second to save him from a Kainu, and as a result is impaled by a burning fist. With no chance of escaping death, all Ace can do is give his final words of thanks to his younger sibling, before perishing on the battlefield. Content that he had people who loved him, regardless of his heritage. Number 9, Ishigami's backstory. Kaguya-sama, love is war. The most aloof member of the student council, the anime kept us guessing as to what his deal was. Did he have any skeletons in his closets, or was he just a naturally depressed teen? Turns out that he had every right to be cynical on account of having a nightmare past. After beating up a popular jerk who was threatening to blackmail his own girlfriend, the whole school turns against Ishigami due to malicious rumors, where he is shunned and looked down upon. It's a bleak example of how gossip can destroy a person's life. Thank goodness he had someone like Shirogane to bring him out of that dark place. Number 8, the death of Jiraiya, Naruto Shippuden. He may have been a perverted hermit, but when it came down to it, Jiraiya was the aged underdog we couldn't help but love, especially given the parental bond he shared with Naruto. While his sage mode and veteran shinobi experience made him the ideal match to take on the Akatsuki leader, he woefully underestimated what pain and the Rinnegan were capable of. While it resulted in his death, instead of letting despair take over him, the old frog pulled out one final trump card, sowing the seeds for Pain's defeat and entrusting his will to Naruto. Number 7, Hughes' funeral, Fullmetal Alchemist.
That's an amazing talent.
No matter how much Brotherhood excels in other areas, nothing can measure up to how broken this scene in the original outing left us.
Maybe this is a more fitting end.
Following on from his murder at the hands of the homunculi, Hughes is given a soldier's burial with the highest honors. Not that it stops his confused daughter from wailing out as he's lowered into the ground.
Who are those people? Why are they burying him? Why?
He's gone, baby.
Between seeing Hughes' family break down and Mustang silently crying for his dear friend, everything seems hopeless, especially knowing those responsible for the killing stand among the grieving. Number 6, the death of Yuki, Sword Art Online 2. Alas, there's no such thing as a respawn when you receive a game over in the MMORPG that is life.
しかし、ユウキ君はこの3ヶ月、我々も驚愕するような頑張りを見せた。
Standing in as Asuna's newfound gaming companion throughout his solo adventure, it turns out that Yuki's real-life predicament was much more dire than any boss fight. With limited time left due to a terminal disease, all of her online friends decide to give her the best send-off possible.
勇気、あなたはこの世界に降り立った最強の剣士。あなたほどの剣士はもう二度と現れない。
Moments away from death, Yuki is logged back into the gaming sphere where she can be with Asuna and the gang right until she passes over.
僕頑張って生きた。ここで生きたよ。
Number 5, the death of Kamina, Gurren Lagann. His existence may have been brief, but he outshone everyone else all the time. Originally nothing more than a shirtless wonder with no shortage of bravado, Kamina eventually grew to become a beacon for humanity in the wake of the Beastman incursion, kickstarting the rebellion with nothing more than a smile. While his demise ultimately allowed Simon to flourish as a main character, we still can't help but wonder what might have been if episode 8 never came to pass.
あばよ、ダチコ。
Probably something involving Yoko.
10倍返した。戻ったら10倍返した。覚えとけよ。
We still miss you, big man.
その日、俺たちはかけがえのないものを失った。
Number 4, the death of Lelouch, Code Geass. As both a masked liberator and a tyrant, Lelouch broke every shade of grey out there, to the point where you never knew how he planned to secure his dream of destroying Britannia and at what cost. Turns out, once again, he had the whole world fooled. Setting himself up as the ultimate baddie, Lelouch made himself the symbol of villainy, something all people could rally around in their unified disgust, only to then grant their wish by arranging his own assassination. It's an unimaginable act of self-sacrifice, proving that underneath all the moral ambiguity, Lelouch was so much more than a monster. Number 3, the death of Ushio, Clannad afterstory. Losing a wife at such a tender age was already brutal enough. Surely the anime wouldn't be so vicious as to rob Tomoya of his child too, right? Wrong. Contracting the same disease as her mother, the adorable Ushio finds herself at death's door at only a few years old. All her father can do is clutch her as she fades away amidst the snowfall, handing us a double whammy of misery.
Did we make it? Are we on the train yet?
Yeah, we made it on the train.
No amount of magic lights and inexplicable resurrections can make us forget the pain of watching this.
Yushio!
Number 2, Yui disappears. Angel Beats. You'd think leaving Limbo would be a cause for celebration, but not here, as Yui's past life is revealed as a paralyzed girl who never got to experience the joys of life. Otonashi endeavors to help her live out all the things she missed out on, at least until it comes to marriage.
もう一個あるよ。
何？
結婚。女の究極の幸せ。
That's when Hinata steps up to the plate, not only agreeing to marry her, but promising to find each other should they be reborn.
俺が結婚してやんよ。これが俺の本気だ。
It's a beautiful moment, one that bites deep when Yui's wishes are fulfilled and she finally passes on. The added montage that displays what could have been between the two will break your spirit. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, the death of Miti, Maiden Abyss. It may have been a mercy, but that doesn't make it any less traumatizing. Reduced to a sentient, immortal blob due to being exposed to the curse of the abyss, Miti faced a hopeless future filled with agony and loneliness unless Nanachi finds a way to end her life.
ダメだ。何を使っても苦しむだけ。
As it happened, Reg's incinerator proved to be the only thing capable of dealing death to the undying. Even though she's finally able to bring her friend peace, Nanachi can't help but break down over losing her beloved companion. Damn you, Bondroot. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.